limit as t goes to -1 of t squared minus 3t minus 4 over 1 minus 1 over t plus 2. The first thing I'm going to do is try plugging a -1 in for each of the t's. That'll give us -1 squared minus 3 times a -1 minus a 4 divided by 1 minus 1 over -1 plus 2. In the numerator, -1 squared is 1. A -3 times a -1 is a plus 3, and then minus 4. In the denominator, we would have 1 minus 1 over -1 plus 2, which is a 1. In the numerator, 1 plus 3 is 4, minus 4 is a 0. In the denominator, 1 minus a 1 is also a 0. So we have the 0 over 0 indeterminate form. Since we do have a fraction within the overall fraction, we will want to try the common denominator method to rework this. That will give us limit as t goes to -1 of t squared minus 3t minus 4 divided by, so that 1 needs a common denominator of t plus 2, so we're going to multiply the 1 by t plus 2 over t plus 2. So that we can combine it with the minus 1 over t plus 2. This will give us a limit as t goes to -1 of t squared minus 3t minus 4 divided by 1 times t plus 2 over t plus 2 minus 1 over t plus 2. We can now, since these have the common denominator, combine those two fractions together, and that'll be one step closer to getting us our final answer to this. That is not the only part of the method, though. We will be needing to cancel some terms out in the numerator and denominator. Specifically, t is going to -1 here, so I would expect to see a t plus 1 factor in the numerator, and I would expect to see a t plus 1 factor in the denominator. These fractions will combine. It is a subtraction of the numerators. It will be over the common denominator. It looks like we can actually combine the 2 and the -1 here together. So let's go ahead and do that. And that will give us a t plus 1 over a t plus 2. The next step we're going to want to do is reciprocate the fraction in the denominator, multiply it times the numerator. So limit as t goes to -1 of t squared minus 3t minus 4. Reciprocate and multiply would have us multiply this by t plus 2 over t plus 1. Now that means that we're going to now have power functions. We should still have the 0 over 0 going on, though it's not going to be the same factor making the 0 just yet. In the denominator, it's t plus 1 that's making the 0. In the numerator, it will be this expression here. In order to have the cancellation, we need to further factor that. It'll be a trinomial factorization. So let's go ahead and try that. Two numbers that multiply to be a -4 and add to be a -3. It sounds like a -4 and a +1. That t plus 2 factor is still up there. That hasn't gone anywhere. All over t plus 1. At this point, the t plus 1 factors, as we expected, will appear. There they are. They cancel, removing the 0 over 0 problem that we were encountering. And we now have the limit as t goes to -1 of t minus 4 times t plus 2. If we plug in the -1, we will have -1 minus 4 times -1 plus 2, which is going to be a -5 times a 1. And therefore, the overall limit is -5.